All right, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm 5 News meteorologist Stephen Elmore. We've been talking about throughout most of the day today how we were going to receive at some points some potential severe weather. Finally, that has come into play for us this afternoon. We talked about how this is really not going to be a line of thunderstorms that's ready to go by the time it crosses over the state line, how this was going to develop gradually as it crossed over the state line and then pushed further out towards the east, where we're expecting to get some more severe weather. Now already we're starting to see this line of thunderstorms really start to blow up here just over the past hour or so. So taking a look, we got our little stand-up monitor right here where we're going to be taking a look directly at this severe thunderstorm warning that's in LaFleur County creeping into Sebastian County. So again, this line of thunderstorms has been really developing over Oklahoma and now pushing just over into the state line. So Poto, watch out. You're about to get a really good downpour here in the next couple of minutes. You see just how quickly this thunderstorm goes from pretty much nothing, just being some really strong wind gusts, to just popping up into this cell right here. That's what we're seeing all across this line of thunderstorms as this cold front continues to go through. So we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for LaFleur County creeping into Sebastian County over the next 45 minutes or so. This is going to be, let's get the context of this warning. So until 3:30 is what our warning goes out to. And we've got 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and $half size hail. Once we start to see hail cores that large, that's when we could potentially be talking about some potential damage. Let's go ahead and pull up that hail core and see what we got. Yeah, so we're already starting to see, you see that blue right there is going to be our hail core at the moment. So just on the west side of Poto, moving towards the east, again 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and some significant hail cores right now. We've been talking about how hail cores was going to be our potential for our greatest threat today, but then they issued that severe thunderstorm watch for all of 5-country. Now we have to at least prepare for the fact that we could see some significant wind gusts. We're already starting to see those hail cores, and we can't rule out the potential for a possible tornado later on into the day. Again, this is just the beginning of this cold front really starting to come together now. Over the next couple of hours, we're going to continue to see this line come together, and the greater threat is really further off towards central Arkansas. Pulling up that Storm Prediction Center map that we've been showing you, again, earlier on into the week, we had the potential for some storms firing up across Oklahoma. And then as we got closer and closer towards today, that's when we started talking about the potential for that threat across central Arkansas. Looking at that right now, we have that level 1, 2, and 3 risk for severe weather all in our viewing area, because this is the developmental stage over the next couple of hours. So we've already starting to see some of these storms starting to fire up across LaFleur County. And theoretically, as we continue on over the next couple of hours, these thunderstorms are only going to progressively continue to grow in size and speed, and the threats are going to increase as well. Once we get over towards eastern portions of our viewing area, that's when that line of thunderstorms is really going to be at its strongest and pushing into central Arkansas. And again, all of Arkansas has some type of threat today from the Storm Prediction Center. Level 3 is our highest threat, again, heading from central Arkansas. So we're already starting to see those lines of thunderstorms really start to come together. Here's a look at what our models are showing of what it could look like throughout the rest of the day today. Again, we're really just starting to see these isolated pockets of some showers here. That's causing some of it to go across the severe threat. This is earlier this morning. Here comes that cold front. And this is what we're talking about as the threat. Now, this has really slowed down a bit. You see, as obviously we're talking about those storms across LaFleur County now, but you see how quickly they can bubble up and then track their way on to central Arkansas. So we could be in for a few severe thunderstorm warnings here over the next couple of hours. Let's go ahead and take it back to radar of what we're looking at right now. Again, severe thunderstorm warning for LaFleur County moving into Sebastian County. That's our only warning right now, but take a look at that line of storms that we have right now. From just the last hour, this is an hour loop of what we've been seeing. We've gone from absolutely nothing to having severe thunderstorm warnings pop up across the river valley. I won't be surprised here in the next couple of minutes or so if any of these cells all the way reaching from Benton County all the way to southern LeFlore County, get some severe thunderstorm warnings. We could be in for a couple here in the next couple of hours. Again, really just 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and hail cores being our greatest potential right now with this cell across LeFlore County, moving just right now south of Fort Smith. But we're already starting to see some of those cells starting to pop up across Fort Smith. Let's take a closer look at a few of these cells. I'm going to start in northwest Arkansas, and we'll talk about that severe thunderstorm warning again. So we've got some thunderstorms. We can hear it outside, just that heavy downpour of rain. West side of Bentonville is seeing some hail, seeing some of that heavy rain right now. Could be seeing some of those hail cores. We'll take a look at the hail cores here in a second. North side of Fayetteville is seeing some of that heavy rain right now, and you see just how quickly these storms can pop up. These could potentially turn cross over the severe limits here in just a couple of minutes, but they're very quickly moving. You see just how they bubble up and move right out, moving into southern Missouri over the next couple of hours. Let's take a closer look across the river valley. Just that severe thunderstorm warning right now currently. Fort Smith, just west side of Fort Smith, you're about to see some potential severe weather as well. You see some of those lightning icons there. This is a really strong thunderstorm moving out of north side of Poto into southern Sebastian County. Let's go ahead and track this out and see our latest timing of when we're expecting to see these storms start to move through. All right, so Fort Smith in about anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes, you can start to see some of that severe weather start to pop up. Greenwood 318, Ozark at 344, Paris at 414, and 431 for Clarksville. So obviously this has continued to slow down and back up our timeline. We were originally talking about between 2 and 4 o'clock is going to be our main threat across northwest Arkansas and eastern Oklahoma. So that's on time there. But I think over the next couple of hours, we could potentially see these storms really starting to bubble up a little bit quicker than what we first were talking about. We could see these storms again moving into all the way out to Clarksville until 4:31. So again, these storms are really starting to fire up here and really start to track very quickly across portions of the river valley. Again, just that one warning right now for LeFlore and Sebastian counties. If we start to see these warnings start to carry on further into the river valley, that's when we'll start to see this line of thunderstorms really start to connect and come together. Right now, very isolated pockets of these thunderstorms, just strong thunderstorms right now, and haven't reached over the severe limits just yet. Let's take a look at those hail cores, see if we have any hail cores anywhere else across this line of thunderstorms. Yep, we're already starting to see some pop up on the south of Muldrow, moving into Fort Smith. So if you live on the west side of Fort Smith, prepare for some potential hail. When we start to see these large signatures, wow, that's a large signature right there, just on the west side of Poto. Let's get a estimated look of what that's looking like right now. Okay, let's see here. They've increased that to golf ball size hail. So some large hail on the west side of Poto this afternoon. All right, get our bearings here. And let's go back to radar to show, actually let's keep on hail real quick. Hail cores, let's see if we have any hail cores anywhere else. So that's our largest one, just on the west side of Poto, west side of Fort Smith, south side of Sequoyah County, and just starting to see a signature just on the west side of Prairie Grove. You're going to start to see some hail here pretty soon. All this gray right here is they're trying to pick up a signature. It's really once we start to see this blue dot right here, blue, purple, that's when we're going to see our largest potential for hail. Again, that severe thunderstorm warning in northern LeFlore County, creeping into Sebastian County. They have up to golf ball size hail right now. Earlier, our severe thunderstorm watch put out by the National Weather Service alerted us to the possibility of up to apple size hail. And I think that's a little aggressive, but certainly if these thunderstorms continue tracking the way they are, growing in size, we could see that potential here in the next few minutes to closer towards as they track across portions of the river valley in northwest Arkansas. Definitely our strongest cell right now is just on the west side of Poto, moving kind of north of Poto. Let's get you another track here. Let's pull up that hail core. And yeah, you see that deep, that dark purple right there? That is that golf ball size hail that the National Weather Service is alerting to. Let's pull up this cone right here and kind of track this out. Cameron High School, Hackett, potential for some hail just in a short amount of time. And just since we've been talking about that hail core on the west side of Fort Smith, see how much that's grown. These storms are really starting to blow up here very quickly. So let's go ahead and see how large that is right now. 1.5 inch size hail right now, just on the west side of Fort Smith, moving into the west side of Fort Smith. This is some potential damaging hail right now. If you have that garage available to you, or you can get that car in somewhere safe right now, not be a bad idea if you are just Poto, Fort Smith. I would suggest that maybe you try to get that car quickly into a covered space right now, because hail, that's going to leave some damage right now. We had pea-size hail just a few months ago where we're at in Taneytown, and we still have those little dents on top of our cars. So it doesn't take much to get some of that car damage here. So if you have the opportunity to get that car in, that'll save you a big headache. All right, let's get this pulled up here. Let's go to sweeping radar. Those cells across northwest Arkansas have certainly grown here in a quick amount of time as well. I'm gonna loop this over the past, let's loop it over the past hour. So this is what we're talking about right here. Obviously, big event going on today in Fayetteville for the Razorback spring game today. We'll zoom in and get a closer idea of where the stadium is, if they're staying dry right now. But just over the last hour, this is going from 145 to 245. We've seen it gone from nothing on the state line to growing into these isolated thunderstorms. So that's what we were expecting today. Later on into the day, as these push further off towards central Arkansas and into southern Missouri, Branson area, this line of thunderstorms could really start to develop here and become into a strong line of thunderstorms and start to get some of those damaging winds involved in there as well. Right now, our main concern is just going to be those hail cores, wind gusts, and that severe thunderstorm warning. Our only one that we have right now is still only at 60 miles per hour. We're talking about damaging hail being our main concern here this afternoon. Still nothing on that. We also have chat pulled up over here. If you have any questions, we'll be able to try to answer some of those real quick. A lot of comments about hail coming down. And again, that has been our main concern throughout this whole afternoon. All right, let's focus on the severe thunderstorm warning. This is going out until 3:30, so we've still got a while here to go. They'll continue to update further information on it. Yeah, again, still just 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, which is still above that severe, obviously that severe limit. So we could see some damaging wind gusts just north side of Poto, south of Fort Smith. You've got Fort Smith right now, though, saying it's cell on its own. Not severe warned just yet, but very similar to the rest of these cells moving across portions of northwest Arkansas and the river valley. Hail cores, I'm going to just pull that up right now. We've already talked about the wind gusts. Hail is going to be our main concern. There it is. Yeah, these hail cores are pretty large right now. Let's zoom in. Oh, and there's another severe thunderstorm warning, most likely because of this hail moving directly into Fort Smith. Again, if you have vehicles right now, or if you have any property outside that you want to try to bring in, just on the west side of Fort Smith, right about to cross over the state line, this purple right here is some significant hail. When it was that dark blue, we were talking about close to 1.5 inch size. We're probably closing in on 2 inches right now. So this is some damaging hail moving in right now. Thankfully, this is a very small core right now, but packing a big punch. If we start to see this core start to really grow, that's when we could start be talking about some potential issues for Fort Smith. So again, Fort Smith area, west side of Fort Smith, closer towards the state line. You are about to get some significant hail right now, some large hail. When we talk about that hail, sometimes we get just piles outside where it almost looks like it snowed outside. This is not the case. We're going to have some really good images coming out of the west side of Fort Smith, north of Poteau here in just a little bit of how large this potential hail is moving across the state line right now. Again, another severe thunderstorm warning attached to the one that was including LaFleur County. So we are talking about Alma, Fort Smith, Mountainburg, moving closer towards the I-49 corridor. We're going to be talking about some significant hail. Good news is that cell just north of Poteau, that hail core has really started to die down. We're not talking about long tracks of hail, but this new severe thunderstorm warning that includes Fort Smith, this is potentially our next greatest threat for some significant hail. Let's move up to northwest Arkansas real quick, just to check on those hail cores, see if we're seeing anything, and really just not seeing a whole lot. We're talking about just this small hail core right there, and it's really started to die off as it tracked closer towards Fayetteville. Let's take a look at this new severe thunderstorm warning going all the way out until 3:30 as well. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, quarter-size hail, so less in the size than it was north of just Poteau. But west side of Fort Smith, again, let's track it out here, see what timing we're talking about. Let's get a good look here at this potential damaging hail core. I'm going to zoom out actually just a bit. Get this cone right here and be able to give you the best idea of timing of when to expect. All right, Fort Smith, about 5 minutes or so before that hail core reaches into downtown Fort Smith. Van Buren at 2:58, Alma 3:05. So you've got some time. If you want to try to put that car away in that garage, if it's sitting outside, try to protect it. If you can't, stay inside. Obviously, damaging hail, you don't want to be caught outside with that. If you're already starting to see some hail, just stay indoors. Obviously, we don't want anybody getting injured from this damaging hail. Good news, again, just north of Poteau is that hail core has really started to die down. This is going to be my main concern right now. Once we start to see that dark purple that we're highlighting right there, that is some significant large hail moving across the state line into Sebastian County. So again, Fort Smith probably running out of time here right now to bring any valuables inside, but for the most part, we're going to see that hail core most likely continue its strength right over the state line, moving into some really significant nice weather right now for the potential for this. That's why we have the severe weather potential for today, because if you've been outside today, you've felt the humidity, you've seen how warm it was today. We had some sunshine today. That's why when it's crossing over the state line, this cold front is going into all this warm, moist air, and that's why we're starting to see this blow up very quickly, moving across the river valley. All right, let's get radar back here. Yep, in Fort Smith right now, that cell, north side of Fort Smith, really. But obviously, severe thunderstorm warned. You want to try to find that safe spot right now. Hail cores is going to be our main concern. This cell just on the outside of Mountainburg we don't see a whole lot of hail cores out of this one. Again, north side of Fort Smith is our main concern right now, but this could, any of these cells reaching all the way from the southern portions of LaFleur County moving up to Benton County could produce some hail at some point. That was our greatest concern for today. Let's take a wide look at all of 5COUNTRY. Got no severe thunderstorm warnings for northwest Arkansas. This one right here is creeping into the south side of Washington County, but for the most part, we're going to see this line of thunderstorms moving further into Franklin and Johnson counties. We do get another severe thunderstorm warning for the east side of Clarksville moving out of our viewing area. But if you do live on the far eastern side of Johnson County, cell right here starting to pop up that could produce some hail cores. So east side of Clarksville, you want to take some shelter right now. 3 severe thunderstorm warnings for our viewing area, mainly just staying in the river valley right now. But if this line of thunderstorms continues to grow in the way it is, moving across the river valley, we could be talking about some potential severe weather for Franklin, Crawford, Sebastian, Logan, even reaching into Scott counties. If this line continues to grow between Poteau and southern LaFleur County down to Heavener, we could see that moving into Scott County as well this afternoon. Good news is, if you're attending anything Razorback related right now, I know that is the big topic for today. Looks like Fayetteville, you're just seeing just an annoying little cell right here moving in. And look, just in the next scan, it's really starting to die down. So maybe just a quick shower for Fayetteville this afternoon. But again, the main severe threat right now is in the river valley. So if you're attending any of those Razorback activities for today, just going to see a quick pop-up shower. Let's loop this from the past hour to give you an idea of what we're talking about as the threat for today. Really, we were talking about 2 o'clock being the time where not only it was going to really start to expand and blow up in this atmosphere, but we're also talking about it crossing over into the river valley as well. This is the timing between 2 and 4 p.m. that we're still in our marginal and our slight risk right here. Once we get closer towards the eastern side of our viewing area, that's when we start to get into that level 3 risk from the Storm Prediction Center, that enhanced risk, and that's when that line of thunderstorms is really starting to track towards central Arkansas. Again, we're tracking that being our main threat for today. I'll go ahead and pull up Futurecast one more time, and then we'll go back to our radar look. Again, this is moving a little bit quicker than we expected. We were expecting that not to reach all the way to Johnson and Logan and Scott counties until later on this afternoon, really heading into the evening hours, moving a little bit quicker on us now. See, the Futurecast scan really doesn't do it justice because we're talking about those storms popping up around 3:30. I think we're going to reach there just a little bit earlier. But this will give you a good idea of what to expect if you got friends and family towards central Arkansas. We're expecting these line of thunderstorms really to come together moving into northern Arkansas and central Arkansas. That's going to be our greatest threat for severe weather. What we're seeing right now is just those isolated thunderstorms really starting to pop up here. Here's a look at Storm Prediction Center of what we are looking at. As for our level 1, 2, and 3 risk, we have all 3 in our viewing area. Eastern sides of our viewing area, reaching from Carroll County all the way to eastern Scott County, is going to be our main threat once this line of thunderstorms really starts to get going. But if this is trending the way it's going to, we could see some potential severe weather greater than what we maybe have been expecting earlier on into the day, reaching into our eastern portions of our viewing area, because we already have 3 severe thunderstorm warnings for our slight and marginal risk this afternoon. Go back to radar real quick and get an update on. Let's actually check out hail once we get back to radar. See if that hail core on the west side of Fort Smith has grown or not. Again, Fort Smith, you have run out of time to get that car inside. Probably, most likely, let's check comments real quick. Yeah, you guys are already starting to see that hail, and now we have another severe thunderstorm warning for northern Benton County. All right, let's pull up hail cores. Yeah, some really significant hail right now coming down in downtown Fort Smith. If we have any Fort Smith watchers out right there, which I imagine we do, you are most likely seeing some significant hail right now. Once we start to see those deep pink and purples, it's right over our logo for Fort Smith. Is that deep purple right there. Yep, out of time for moving that car inside the garage. It's time to stay in shelter right now for Fort Smith, only because not necessarily our damaging winds, even though we're seeing those damaging winds up to 60, 65, closing in on 70 miles per hour. What our main concern is going to be that hail core right now. Our main concern all day has been this hail core. Looks like it's going to move on the south side of Van Buren, just right through Fort Smith, though, closing in on the river. We're seeing some really strong hail right now. And we just got our latest update, still holding on to that strength. Looks like the greatest portion of that hail was just north of Arcoma. Once across the state line, it's starting to die down now. But until we start to see this light teal and blue starting to pop back on, what we really want to see is this gray. That's when we're only seeing maybe pea-size hail. Once we start to see that, then we'll be out of the clear for some hail. But we're still seeing this dark purple just on the north side of Fort Smith. So some significant hail across the river valley this afternoon. And we haven't seen much in the way of hail across northwest Arkansas. These have been our 2 hail cores that we've been watching. The one we were talking about just on the west and north side of Poto, they issued another severe thunderstorm warning connected to that. Actually, they're trimming this one down, mainly because when they issued this hail core was very large, and now we're starting to see that gray and that light gray. So really that started to fall apart. That's a good sign. They're hanging on to the severe thunderstorm warning just in case this decides to flare up again, but now Poto has been eliminated from that severe thunderstorm warning. So really north side of Poto going into Panama, that's when we're starting to see the greatest threat right now, but it seems like it's dying down just enough for them to cut down the severe thunderstorm warning. My main concern right now being for people who are in and live in the city limits of Fort Smith. You're seeing some significant hail right now, and that's the only spot we're really worried about right now. Let's go ahead and track this out of who's up next for this hail core. I believe Alma, south side of Alma, you're going to be included in this. Yeah, Alma 308, Kibler 306. Good news is it's not as dark as it was right over the state line. If you are on the state line just west of Fort Smith, you saw some significant hail now starting to die down. Hopefully we continue this trend. And there we just got our latest update. Let me clear that out of the way to see what we got. All right, that's a good sign. That's a good sign that we like to see right there. So maybe this hail core doesn't even reach to Alma. Definitely south side of Van Buren. Closer to downtown Van Buren, you're seeing the smallest amount of hail, even if any at all. But south side of Van Buren, just on the eastern side of Fort Smith, thankfully that largest hail core has moved on past Fort Smith now. South side of Van Buren, you're really starting to see some significant hail right now. It's getting less and less though, so this is good news. This is tracking the way we want to. We don't want to see that purple stretching too far. We're starting to see that blue now, which is meaning that hail core is really starting to die down. All right, we did have it. Wait, we had that severe thunderstorm warning for northern Benton County. And that's because we are starting to see that hail core growing on the south side of Bentonville. Just got our latest update, got much larger. So Bentonville, you have some time, maybe, if you, especially you live further towards the north or east side of Bentonville, get those cars inside. Strong wind gusts right now, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. But our hail core, this is going to cause some damage to some cars outside if they're being left outside. Let's get the information on the severe thunderstorm warning. 345, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, quarter-size hail. That's some damaging hail. And this is only beginning. Again, we talked about how when we start to see that purple starting to show up on the screen, that's definitely getting into the damaging hail. But right now, quarter-size hail, that's going to cause some significant damage outside. This hail core just went on the north side of X and A, so they might be seeing some hail there as well. They did see some hail there as well. We're going to be waiting on the next track of this. Let's pull up radar while we're waiting to see if that hail core is going to increase or decrease. Taking a look at sweeping radar right now. Bentonville is definitely seeing a large thunderstorm right now. Good news is, we'll watch out for that right there, a little notch right there. Good news is we're not seeing that hail core stretched out all across this cell that reaches from P Ridge all the way out to X and A. What we're seeing just now is that hail core on the south side. We're just seeing a good pop-up isolated thunderstorm across portions of Benton County this afternoon. Really heading into the evening hours now. Bentonville right now, you are seeing a large downpour right now. We heard it here earlier when it went over Johnson. So I can guarantee you, Centerton, Bentonville, Crystal Bridges, Little Flock, seeing some, it's also Saturday. I know we got some proms going on tonight, so hopefully pictures are being ruined right now by this little pop-up thunderstorm. Centerton, Bentonville, P Ridge, you're seeing some heavy rain right now. P Ridge, I think you'll be left out of the heaviest portion of this rain unless this cell really starts to track upwards. And then moving into P Ridge, then we could see some significant hail. But right now it looks like it's just on the south side of Bentonville is where that hail core was. I'll pull it up here in a second. Centerton maybe just got missed by that hail core, seeing some small hail. Bentonville right now, again, you're seeing lightning, and we'll pull up some cameras here actually. See if we can get a good view of anything.
I've got two cameras for you, Stephen, if we want to maybe switch to Max 2. I'll give you just a quick break. I'll show you some of the cameras. Let's go to camera 3, Big Board, and
I'll show you what it looks like from the Marshall's Museum. This is with just that hail core that Stephen was tracking. You can see it almost looks like a dusting of snow out there now just because of all the hail. You can see some of the hail that's accumulated on the roof as well. But the thunderstorm is now pushing deeper into Fort Smith and Van Buren, Alma. Work cover, of course, coming up next. Now you're looking down Rogers Avenue. Rain now starting to move in. This is going from downtown and it's moving towards the east. Now a lot of this will probably stay on the north side of the hospital, more towards Kelly Highway, Grand Avenue, and then north eventually once you get to Van Buren and headed towards Alma. But you do see that thunderstorm off in the distance as it's coming in from the west right now. You're looking almost due south when you're kind of crossing Rogers Avenue at this angle. But a lot of pop-up thunderstorms, of course, out there this evening. I want to show you what it looks like with Max Doppler 5. Of course, we've got the severe thunderstorm warnings that we've been tracking. We have 4 at the moment, 4 supercell storms that are producing some of this hail, and you have the lightning coordinating where you have the hail. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at some velocity too. So far we haven't seen too much rotation. Every once in a while there's some broad rotation, but this is mainly a hail event that's taking place across 5 country. We'll let you know if that changes. All the warnings out. Let's go from north to south. There's really quick. We've got that hail core over downtown Bentonville, Crystal Bridges. This is moving eastbound over Highway 62. There on the north side, you got a lot of the boat dealerships there. And then on just north of Prairie Creek, Garfield, Avoca, and then eventually Garfield, you'll be watching this cell. I think most of the hail should stay just away from the downtown Rogers area. We're probably going to get some rain and wind, but I think the hail is going to be there towards the Daisy factory and then north past that come and go. And then you head on 62 headed by the Rogers Municipal Airport. The Walmart FBO is where that hail core is going, right towards the airport. We just had it over Thaden Field, and now it's headed towards Rogers Municipal Airport. Looks like the storm that we were tracking dumped some hail on the west side of Fayetteville. That continues to weaken. We're still getting a little bit of hail over Horseshoe Bend Marina, and then headed towards War Eagle, Camp War Eagle area. We're probably going to get some smaller hail. And then back off towards the south. These are our main hail cores that are the strongest, though. Fort Smith, we just got pounded. We were just looking at some hailstones that are the size of baseballs for some of us in Fort Smith. And now it's tracking out of Fort Smith. Fort Smith's hail core is now pretty much over. This is moving right towards Alma. If you live in the Alma area, hail is headed towards you guys. It looks like the latest scan has dropped the hail closer to quarter-sized hail rather than that baseball-sized hail that we had earlier, but it is coming towards Alma. Mulberry, we're next. So if you live anywhere along I-40 or just south of I-40, but still in Crawford County, this is where we're watching some of the Arkansas River bottoms south of Alma. That's where we're watching this hail core. We got another hail core off towards the north. This is over Natural Dam in Uniontown, just passed over Cedarville. Now this is headed right towards the Mountainburg exit and then north towards the Chester exit too. This one should probably stay south of the Bobby Hopper Tunnel and move north and east eventually towards northern Franklin County once you get just north of Watalula. But let's take a closer look at this storm and also one towards the south. We've had that hail in around Poteau. It looked like it was mainly on the north side of Poteau there towards Shady Point. Cameron, up and down the old highway, 271. We're still getting some of that hail. Cameron and then Bacola, we're going to be next with some of this hail. It looks like we got 2 hail cores that are coming in from the west in LaFleur County. One is over the Spiro Mounds, but it's headed east towards Bacola and Arcoma. Your guys are next. But Fort Smith, we've already had hail, but we could get another hail core coming in here within the next 10 minutes to 15 minutes. This one's headed right towards those car dealerships. Remember, on the south side of Fort Smith, we've got a lot of the new car dealerships. Looks like this hail core is headed towards that. Most of the hail in the first round went from downtown Fort Smith and towards the north side and into Van Buren and Kibler. But this next hail core, although it's probably not up to quarter size yet, it might be nickel-sized hail. This is coming right towards the south side of Fort Smith. There you guys in Vienna Hills and then towards Fianna Hills and then north along 0 Street, Phoenix Avenue there towards the airport. You're probably going to get some of this hail. And then up and down Phoenix, we're probably going to get some of the hail too. But it looks like we've got that other hail core over Cameron, right over the new high school, and then headed eastbound. This would probably come into Hackett here very shortly. Midland, we could also get some of this hail as well. But Greenwood, just kind of looking down the line, you need to be on the lookout for some of this hail. If you got friends, family training at Fort Chaffee, they're probably going to be watching some of this hail coming in from the west. They'll be crossing the state line here very shortly. But this is, once again, a look at all the thunderstorms we have out there. We have a severe thunderstorm warning in eastern Johnson County, but the hail is right along the county line pushing east. So Clarksville, we're mostly okay. We've got a cell on the southeast side, Lamar and Knoxville. We'll be watching some of these downpours. We've got another downpour in the mountains right now just north of the Strawberry Bluffs. We've got a couple strong cells in Madison County, probably producing some penny to nickel-sized hail right over Huntsville, Hinesville. If If you live in Eureka Springs, Berryville, we've got some storms headed towards you guys. We've got that cell that's on the south side of Beaver Lake near Camp War Eagle headed north and east. And then, of course, we've got that Bentonville strong storm that's dumping hail going down 62. So that northern exit near the southeast 14th Street exit, the 8th Street Market exit, some of those exits where the Walmart headquarters is being built. This is where that hail is moving into, and it's moving up 62 eventually towards Garfield and then Avoca, I think. All right, I'm going to send it over back to meteorologist Stephen Elmore. I think you got a track ready to go on some of these storms and how fast they're going to move.
Yeah, and we appreciate all the Facebook comments right now. We're seeing some significant reports of some hail that moved through Fort Smith, south side of Van Buren, and of course north side of Poto. Some reports of baseball-sized hail. Obviously, we'll get those confirmed in the next couple of hours after we start to see some pictures start to roll in. Obviously, send those to us if you have it. Here's a track for the latest track of the severe weather moving in. This line of thunderstorms is really starting to come together now. We'll take a loop here in just a little bit, but we started off from just itty-bitty cells really starting to blow up across northern LaFleur County into a line of thunderstorms. Now, Alma, you're already starting to see some of those thunderstorms right now, really in that heart of that cell right now is in Alma right now. Greenwood, you have some time before that severe weather is starting to move in. Good news is they cut down the severe thunderstorm warning. Further out, Ozark and Clarksville, a little bit later. Clarksville, obviously seeing that on the east side of Clarksville, starting to see some of those thunderstorms really starting to blow up. So here's our latest track. If you're in the red polygon here, be on the lookout for some potential severe weather tracking across. Again, expected to increase in the potential for severe weather as we continue to push further off towards the east and closer into central Arkansas. Let's eliminate this polygon right here and give you a loop of.
Stephen, you want to see some of the hail falling right now in Pensacola?
Sure.
All right, can you go ahead and pull up Max 2? And we can show some of the hail that's bouncing around right now in the Pensacola area. There's that southern cell. If you look closely, you can see some of the white bouncing around. I'm going to take control of the camera in just a moment. But you're looking from the Choctaw Casino, and then, of course, you're looking towards downtown Fort Smith. We've got multiple cells in the area. We had one storm that you see off in the distance that's still kind of dark in that sky, where we had up to that baseball-sized hail coming across Fort Smith and Van Buren. It looks like it's kind of picking up now. So you can see how it's just bouncing off the roof there.
Yeah.
Winds are pretty gusty, too.
Good news is that hail does not look like some of the hail reports that we've received in other places.
Right.
Looks like that core is really starting to die down. I would assume, just looking at this camera, same as you are, pea-size hail maybe, a little bit larger.
Maybe nickel.
Yeah, nickel.
Yeah.
All right, so we talked about that hail core moving into Bentonville. That's going to be good to look at, see if that's what the latest track on that is. Let me pull up hail cores right here. Yeah, and we're starting to see that hail core moving into Bentonville right now really start to pick up. It picked up on the south side of Bentonville, starting to decrease just a bit now. Good news is we're starting to see that gray really starting to pop up, just moving on the other side of Bentonville now, moving south side of Pea Ridge. Zach Scott's going to get some hail. He's going to love that coming into this afternoon. South side of Bentonville again. Matt talked about the car dealerships on the south side. Again, some significant hail moving through. Good news is Bentonville, you're in the clear now. Moving further off into northeastern Benton County, south side of Pea Ridge. Garfield, be on the lookout. I don't think that this core is going to last all the way out to Garfield, but you could see some small hail moving towards you in the near future. Let's get a wide look here, and well, that hail core is certainly picked up again. Actually, I'm going to go into that. Okay, so we always talk about how these hail cores in the severe weather, frankly, pulses up and down from going from severe, calms down just a bit and pulses back up again. We're definitely seeing a pulse back up. Kibler, south side of Alma, be on the lookout. We're seeing some significant hail cores really starting to pulse back up again. Again, when we start to see this purple, this pink, we're talking about closing in on 2 inches in diameter. This is some significant hail. We saw the images coming out of the west side of Fort Smith. This is similar, if not going to grow larger. South side of Alma, you are really east side of Alma. If you live north or east of Alma, you have some time to get those cars inside, or if you have some property that you want to try to get inside away from the hail. Kibler, I'd say you're out of time now. It's time to seek some shelter indoors now. Again, being outside during this hail is potentially dangerous. Do not want to take one of those to hit you. So stay indoors for Kibler. Moving further out towards Alma, that's when we're going to be potentially seeing this just move on the south side. Wow, Matt, look at that latest update. This hail core is significantly starting to pick up now.
Yeah, let's go ahead and
Yeah.
if we could pull up Max 2 really quick here in just a moment.
Okay, there we go. Max 2 real quick. This is that storm that Steven's talking about. We're going to send another alert out as we're continuing this live stream on Channel 5. This is a massive hail core that's coming into Kibler, up to baseball-sized hail. This storm has already produced some of that baseball-sized hail in Fort Smith and Van Buren, and is now headed north and east. Dyer, you're next. This is coming in within the next 5 minutes or so. I'm also looking at some traffic. It's very slow on I-40 right now. So the radar is doing its best to try to figure out exactly where the hail core is, but I wouldn't be surprised. Sometimes you can throw the hailstones even out of the storm and they're towards on the north side because you've got that south wind to kind of throw them. So we do have that hail right along the interstate. We've got some backups there, it looks like near the Arkansas Way Station. And then right there at the I-40 and I-49 corridor, right before you get to Alma, we've got some slowdowns. Folks are trying to get from I-49 to I-40, and there's some backups there. But from Alma, especially if you live on the south side of town, towards the high school or the Walmart, you head south of the library. So that's where we're going to get most of this hail coming in towards the south side. If you live anywhere near the Alma Boys and Girls Club, we're watching that hail coming in for you guys. This is going to head along Cherry Street and then continue east on Highway 64. You can see Highway 64 kind of in this tan color, and then the interstate's in the black. If you live anywhere getting towards Dyer, though, we're going to be next. It's going to hit the high school first, probably already starting to hit the high school. The Alma Primary School, we're going to be next, and then it's going to continue eastbound past the River Valley Golf area. And then you get into Dyer. Dyer, we're going to probably come towards the fire department and the post office here shortly if you live anywhere near there. And then if you continue north and east, you're going to be watching there in Mulberry, hail coming in probably within the next 10 minutes or so. This is probably our strongest thunderstorm. Let me back out for a second just to continually check. We've got some more hail in parts of Crawford County coming into Mountainburg towards the exit. This one's a little bit smaller, probably nickel-sized hail coming into Mountainburg, just south of the Bobby Hopper Tunnel. That's going to continue north and east. We also have some more hail coming into Fort Smith. I know it gets super messy, but we've got this pocket that's just near the Bacola area. I think if I zoom south, there we go. This little blob, I have the previous track, and then I also have the newest scan too, so it gets confusing, but we've got some nickel-sized hail coming in once again into Fort Smith. It's going to come to downtown. It's also probably going to skim some of the car dealerships on the south side, anywhere up 0 Street, and then if you had Towson, we're going to be getting some of this hail as well. Looks like we've got a new scan coming in to pick up some hail both over Poteau and headed towards Hackett. This cell's really picked up right over the southeast side of town, there towards the fairgrounds and then the Robert Caress Airport. It looks like we've got some hail coming in for you guys. This is going to continue east towards the Monroe area, probably just north of Monroe. You've got Poteau Mountain off towards the south. We could get some hail towards you guys too. We also have some of that hail getting closer to Sugarloaf and then headed east into the Hackett area. So lots of hail cores out there. You got to be on the lookout because these storms will continue to pulse up and down, and then plus giving us hail every once in a while. But man, that scan really popped up. We've got baseball-sized hail. That's when you get that pink color. You got baseball-sized hail, south side of Alma. Dyer, Mulberry, we're next. If you live anywhere within probably 5 miles of Dyer or Mulberry, you're probably going to get some of this hail. But it looks like the core of it is just on the east side now. Alma, probably right over the primary school is about here. So we've got hail coming in towards the elementary school there. And then Mulberry, we're coming up next. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump past the Eagle Crest Golf Course and the River Valley Golf Course. You've got one on each side of the interstate. We've got hail coming in for you guys. It's been a beautiful day for golf, but no longer as the storm comes in from the west. You get an update? Sorry? Is there a way, if you want to take over real quick, if you go to ICAM 2, you might see the camera change just for a second, but we're going to try to get some of that hail that's coming into, you said the Alma exit? Or just past, or towards Dyer? Closer to Dyer? Okay, we'll be able to get that up in just a second. You got ICAM, yeah, ICAM 2. Let's go ahead and send over to meteorologist Stephen Elmore while we continue to try to get that camera up, and we'll have it to you in a moment.
Yeah, we'll get that camera up here in a second. We just got a latest scan, so this track is a little off, but pretty still. It's going to be the same. We talked about this hail core really starting to pulse back up again. Kibler, you just saw some significant hail moving through right down downtown Kibler, south side Alma, obviously, to Dyer and Mulberry. You're down the line here, 322 and 327 for Mulberry. Again, with this hail core really starting to pulse back up, now we could see this track a little bit further this time. So you've definitely got some time in Mulberry to get everything cleared out of the way before we start to see this cell pop up again. Let's take a look at sweeping radar, see where that heaviest portion of the rain is. So it's already starting to rain in Mulberry. Good news is this pink right here where you're seeing that lightning really starting to pop up. That's where the hail is. So you still got a while till the hail pops up. But I think I believe we have that camera, correct?
Pull that up
Yeah.
to Max 2 for a second and send it right back to Stephen. This is that hail core, meteorologist Stephen Abshire.
Pulling up this camera for us. Let's go ahead and take Max 2. There you go. So you're looking there at the Dyer exit. You can see that hail is falling. Almost looks like snow out there. Massive snowflakes. They're not. Those are large hail cores, possibly up to baseball-sized hail, especially on the south side of the interstate. So that would be there on the right-hand side of your screen because you're looking east. Folks are going slow, and we've noticed that too. Traffic's going slow along I-40 because hailstones are actively hitting some of these windshields. But please be careful if you are headed out and about in the Alma, Dyer area. It looks like it's kind of wrapping up in Alma at this time, but really Dyer and Mulberry, you're going to be next as this hail core continues to push in. But massive hailstones you see there, Stephen, falling on the camera.
Yeah, we talked about that severe thunderstorm warning on the east side of Clarksville. You talked about earlier, good job putting this out, Matt, of the cell that was just south of it. Look, we got a severe thunderstorm warning for it now. So we're got a new severe thunderstorm warning on the east side of Clarksville. They're also simultaneously cutting down the one that we originally had. So a lot of things going on the screen right here. Multiple warnings for these two cells on the east side of Johnson County, moving out of our viewing area. But if you do live anywhere in this yellow polygon, again, let's zoom in here. If you see your city start to pop up, I know we're in Knoxville, Clarksville, east side of Clarksville. You're really starting to see some of that heavy rain right now. Some hail cores involved in this right now as well. Our main hail core right now, let's get a wide look of the rain first, and then we'll talk about those hail cores again. This one that was moving into the north side of Bentonville, Pea Ridge right now, you're seeing some heavy downpours of rain. Hopefully those hail cores have died down. We'll take a look at that here in a minute. But now this is starting to carry over, just closing in on Branson now. So obviously busy weekend. This weekend, Branson, if you know some families vacationing there, this looks like it's going to be missing just a bit. But these cells moving out of Carroll County are heading right into Branson. So if you got some family, you got some friends going on vacation this weekend, give them a heads up. Branson on the way for some potential severe weather. Our severe thunderstorm warning moving out of Benton County and into southern Missouri now, though, is that still does have some hail. So let's take a look of Garfield, Pea Ridge.
Looks like that went up quite a bit.
Yeah. Let's get a hail core. Yep, so it's starting to pick up again when it starts to die down into that gray, moving into that blue. Good news is moved on the south side of Pea Ridge. But Garfield, you are right in the path now of this large hail core. We could see this pulse up even more. This is some, not that baseball size hail, but some large hail definitely moving into Garfield this afternoon. Look, that's our latest update of what Matt was talking about. So now we're starting to get into that dark blue, some purple in there as well. This hail core is definitely going to increase as we move into Garfield, south side of Garfield, and downtown. Northern side, you might be just seeing some of that small hail, but definitely we're going to see that hail core really starting to push in to the northeastern side of Benton County, moving into the northwestern side of maybe just going north of Eureka Springs. Let's go to the River Valley, check on those. And that is still a very large hail core right there. So now we're talking about east of Alma, Dyer, Mulberry. Prepare for that significant hail really starting to move in now. Again, we talked about how this is potentially up to the size of baseballs, moving right just south of I-40. I know I think we have a lot of cameras right around there, so we'll be able to follow that on our dot. But I-40, heavy traffic, obviously on a weekend. So if you're traveling anywhere from Mulberry to Van Buren, you're going to be heading away from the storms, but you might be running into these hail cores. Dyer, we are now really starting to see that hail starting to come down now. Still some time in Mulberry, but Dyer, definitely time to seek shelter indoors. Don't want to be caught outside with this damaging hail really starting to move through. If we want to talk about this severe thunderstorm warning that we originally had in LaFleur County moving into Sebastian County, those hail cores have really started to die down now, so not much to worry about. Greenwood, I'd say you're okay for right now, but we've seen not only in the River Valley but also in northwest Arkansas these hail cores pulsing up and down. And I think, Matt, you got something for us?
Yeah, with the camera that you were just kind of bringing up there for a second, I want to bring it to you here on Max 2. This is showing you got low visibilities and large hailstones that are hitting right there at the interstate, hitting car shield windows right now. It looks like some folks are, looks like they're trying to even get off the interstate for a second, get to the side, get the hazards on, because travel would be very treacherous. When you've got hailstones that are anywhere from $half sized hail to up to baseball sized hail, that's starting to put cracks in windshields at that point. So travel is very difficult near the Dyer exit. You got massive hailstones. You really see them against kind of a darker background, but large hail hitting Dyer right now. Of course, we still have the severe threats out there that will continue here for the next probably 2 hours, and then we'll start to wrap things up for us, and then storms will push into central Arkansas. Lots of wind right now at the Fort Smith camera here at the Rogers Avenue area there towards Mercy Hospital. We've got another storm coming in. Looks like we got some small hail, probably up to nickel-sized hail bouncing around there towards the helipad, and then on the roof itself. The roof is kind of right here, and so some of the hailstones are hitting and then kind of bounce right in front of the camera. But travel is also difficult along Rogers Avenue, and then a live-looking Bacola. I've moved the camera, so now you're looking north and east. So you're not necessarily looking towards Fort Smith. You're looking towards Fort Chaffee now. We've got that other storm that's dumping some hail just towards the south. So once again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different storms, maybe even up to 6 that are actively producing hail this time, and then multiple downpours across 5COUNTRY as well. And then sometimes we've had some rotation. It looks like we've got a rotation there coming into Pope County, and then we've been watching a little bit of a rotation there towards the south side of Mulberry. Once again, our primary threat is not a tornado threat. It is the hail threat. We've seen the hail, and we continue to get the hail, but some of these storms do have the potential for a little bit of rotation. So if things start to uptick, we'll let you know. But right now, we've got a little bit of broad rotation coming towards Mulberry, but then mainly we've got that hail coming into Mulberry. That looks like it's the largest storm at this time from a hail perspective. Got a new severe thunderstorm warning coming in from Madison County into Carroll County. A storm is actively getting stronger, just passed over Huntsville, headed north and east towards Eureka Springs and Berryville. Let's do a quick tour from north to south on our hail cores right now. We've got a hail core headed towards the Sailboat Cove there on the north side of Beaver Lake. Garfield, we've got some hail too, but northern fringes of Beaver Lake, Lost Bridge Marina, and northbound, we've got some hail coming in for you guys. We had a little bit of hail over Prairie Creek, but if you live towards Eureka Springs or Beaver, Arkansas, this is where our hail core is headed towards next. We've got that hail core over Alabama, moving north and east. Berryville and Green Forest will be next within the next 5 to 10 minutes for hail coming in towards you guys. Farther towards the south, Springdale, Fayetteville, we're fine at the moment. Went ahead and take off the tracks because it gets a little confusing. These are now scanning the only active hail cores we have at this time, not the whole tracks that we've had. So we've had the one coming into Garfield, Beaver will be next, and then eventually probably head towards Table Rock Lake, but then Alabama, and then headed towards Berryville. We've got some hail. Looks like that's kind of upticking. Here's a closer look at some of that hail going Highway 62. Gateway, we're going to be coming up next. You guys know that kind of baseball themed gas station where you get the ice cream right there near Garfield. That's where the hail core is coming in before you head north towards Missouri. And then Gateway, Highway 62, that's where we're watching this hail. You see Glade there towards the north side of Beaver Lake. We've got Lost Bridge Marina, and then once again, Sailboat Cove. A lot of sailboats there. We've got hail coming in for you guys. Let's go a little bit farther south, back to that hail core coming into Mulberry right now. You guys in Mulberry, we're next. We've had baseball-sized hail falling for quite some time. It looks like it's coming in towards the River Valley Golf Course here at the moment, and then south towards the Harris Cemetery. But the River Valley Golf Course is about here, and then you head north towards Eagle Crest. Eagle Crest, we've also have some hail, but this is coming into Dyer right now, and then Mulberry. Mulberry, we're coming in hot with this storm. They're right at the, we got a Dollar General right there at the exit. Just east of Dyer, and then once you continue to head eastbound into Mulberry, there at the Silver Bridge, and then southbound into town, up and down Main Street. Looks like we've got the fairgrounds just on the north side of downtown. You come into downtown, right there by the Mulberry City Park on the west side. You go by the Senior Center, and then you head into the little office for those Mulberry outdoor adventures when you're going down the Mulberry River. But Mulberry, we're up next. The library headed. We're watching this storm right up and down Highway 64. Mulberry heads up, and then the Mulberry River is right along where you see the county line here. So you got the river there, Mulberry's, the city of Mulberry just towards the west. That's where we're watching this hail core come in right at this time. I believe we got a new update. Looks like we got a new. Do you see that next warning? Oh, that's the Carroll County warning. Okay, but here's Mulberry. You got the river, Pleasant View. Watch out for some hail coming in for you guys. We're definitely next as the storm's coming through. But if you live anywhere towards, let's see, up and down 215, as you're headed towards the Mulberry River, there's some of the launching points. You've got hail coming in for you guys, but anywhere around Mulberry is where we're going to be watching next. Kind of down the line to watch this storm, if you live near Cravens, White Oak, and then also the Workmen's Travel Center, where you're just off of I-40, a little bit farther down from Mulberry. We're going to be watching some of this hail come in for you guys too. Here's a little bit farther south. There's towards Hackett and Cameron. We're just getting some hail there closer to Sugarloaf right now. And Poteau Mountain, we've got some hail towards you guys. But it looks like the cell over Hackett has really kind of dried up here at this time. We're still producing some rain, but the hail core has definitely gone down. Once you head south, though, near just north of Hartford is where we've got some of this hail coming in towards Midland. And then anyone knows where that Sugarloaf Lake is, you kind of see it on the map there. Sugarloaf Lake's on the north side of Sugarloaf. We've got hail coming in for you guys. And then up and down Slaytonville Road headed towards Midland. Midland's about right here. So we've got hail coming in towards Midland, hail coming in towards Montreal and Arcola. We're going to have to be watching next for this hail. Here's a wide view across 5 country. Once again, well, a new severe thunderstorm warning for that cell that we have. It looks like it's starting to get a bit more of a hook. Let me go back. All right. So this is the velocity. Just zoom in a little bit closer. Still just broad. We'll have to watch that. But a new severe thunderstorm warning is now going to press deeper into Franklin County. Ozark and Watalula were now included on the severe thunderstorm warning. I'm going to send it over to meteorologist Stephen Elmore. Let's get an update, and I'll work on some cameras.
Yeah, we're going to work on some cameras. We're going to get the latest tracks on everything. We've got meteorologist Stephen Abshire in, obviously meteorologist Matt Stanridge. We're getting a lot of comments on Facebook. We're streaming right now, and love the comments, sending in reports of how large hail you're seeing right now. Keep those coming in so we can get a better idea of how large hail we're seeing. But we're also seeing comments of who's clear right now, who's in the clear. So I'd say Bentonville, you're in the clear right now, down to Rogers, Fayetteville. We're all in the clear right now outside of the east side of Fayetteville, maybe still seeing some downpours. Definitely not that hail core, though. Fort Smith, well, you may be stepping outside now and still feeling some of that strong wind, especially on the west side of Fort Smith. You may be left with some hail right now. Traveling on 40, you've got quite the headache over the next hour or so, all the way out until we still haven't even reached the west side of Clarksville, Paris, Waldron, still in having a potential for some large hail cores and the severe line of thunderstorms coming in. Again, if you remember, if you're with us, we started off with these isolated pockets of pop-up thunderstorms, grown into this line of thunderstorms now that stretches all the way from Benton County all the way down to southern Leflore County. This severe thunderstorm warning reaches over to Leflore and to Scott counties. We've got pretty much all of our counties, right, except for Logan and Johnson counties right now in the River Valley. Johnson County has one on the eastern side. Logan County is the only one we don't have right now with a severe thunderstorm warning. It's definitely heading towards Logan County. So Paris, folks there, you want to be on the lookout over the next hour or so. Let's take a closer look in the River Valley with these hail cores. I know Matt just went over a lot of it with you. He's getting ready to show you some of the velocity. And I'm going to do the same thing he did and take off those hail tracks. So here, I'll give you a look at what the hail tracks look like. This is what we had. This is what we currently have. So definitely smaller, but we've got multiple hail cores. One just south of Heavener, one just outside of Mansfield, moving south of Greenwood. Fort Smith, you're in the clear from hail. And then moving on into Ozark, they just trimmed down that severe thunderstorm warning. So west side of Ozark, you're about to see some hail cores, maybe just move north of you. And then again, on the east side of Clarksville. So currently we have 3 hail cores that are producing some significant hail right now. Dying off, again, this line of hail that moved right across Fort Smith has definitely decreased over the last 30 minutes or so, but still some significant hail moving right across. It's going to move across I-40. If we have a camera there right on the Franklin County line, I'm not sure if we do or not with RDOT, but that's going to be some large hail moving just across I-40. If you're driving, if you know folks driving on 40 today, want to give them a heads up, try to avoid those areas. And for across northwest Arkansas, Garfield, let's see if that's in Garfield or not, on the eastern side of Garfield, moving into Carroll County very shortly, still having a large hail core. They're trimming down or extending this severe thunderstorm warning right now into Carroll County. So this hail core right now, good news is that it's not as large as it was, still holding on to that purple, that deep blue. So we still have got some large hail, maybe not quite that baseball size hail, but moving just south of Gateway as well. Again, if you live on the northwestern side of Carroll County, be on the lookout for some potential hail heading your way. Let's take a look at sweeping radar, show you what the rain looks like outside of the hail cores. And yeah, we've got pretty much that line of thunderstorms connecting all the way from northern into southern Missouri, moving down to the southern LaFleur County. Several severe thunderstorm warnings right now. Still some potential still to go. Still some untouched areas. Again, that we have that severe thunderstorm warning that now crosses into Logan. So now everybody's seeing a severe thunderstorm warning this afternoon. Hopefully the cell on the eastern side of Johnson County starts to move out. It's pretty much, let's take a closer look into Johnson County. Yeah, unless you live on the far eastern side, right on the edge of Johnson County, you're in the clear for this first round. But look, everything's coming towards you is that whole line of thunderstorms that's already moved through portions of the river valley already. Now we're starting to move out with this cell, welcoming in a few more cells that have produced some significant hail already. And as long as we continue to see the trend of these pulsing up and down, while we may be in a pulsing down period right now, we could see some of these hail cores really starting to pop back up pretty shortly. Let's pull up hail again, show you the tracks. Good news is I think every single one of our hail tracks have eliminated that purple, and now we're just talking about that deep blue. So that's a good sign that we're seeing those hail cores really starting to die down, not tracking super long distance. Obviously, we've seen longer distances hail is tracked through. Good news is this one moving just on the northwest of Ozark. Looks like it's dying down just a bit if you still live. If you're traveling across 40, this is going to be our main concern for some hail crossing over 40. But right now it looks like it's dying down just a bit. South side of Greenwood, north side of Mansfield, we have a hail core currently right now as well. Fort Smith, no hail cores. It's a good sign. And I know Matt was talking about, Matt's working on that velocity right now. Let's look at this one south of Heavener. This is a new hail core. All right. So moving into Scott County, the southern portions of LaFleur County, south of Heavener. Meteorologist Stephen Abshire and I had the pleasure of traveling to Heavener. Great community. But moving into the south side of Scott County is when we're going to see the next potential track of hail starting to pulse back up again. Now you got sides, potentially hail just going north of Mansfield and south of Mansfield. Waldron, you still got plenty of time before this hail core reaches you. So if you've seen the images, you're seeing some images, or you've just been watching how much hail we've been talking about, this is on the way. So Waldron, you haven't seen the hail core yet, prepare. There's no reason why we shouldn't see that tracking all the way further out towards Waldron. Let's see here. Whoops. I think you took control over there, Matt. Let's see here. Yeah, I got it back now. All right, sweeping radar. Yeah, the cell in northern Carroll County is starting to pick up again. We've got this, we're decreasing the polygon for it, but still this cell is causing some hail. North side of Bentonville, moving into southern Missouri. Lots of lightning there. Also those hail core seeing, like Matt mentioned earlier, anywhere you see these lightning icons, pretty small right now, but if you've seen lightning, yeah, you've probably seen the potential for some hail as well. I know Matt is drawing that cold front right now, pulling up velocity. Matt, you ready?
Yeah.
All
Let me show you a couple things. We'll take it over to Max too. I want to show you a couple cameras. One thing, Stephen, if you could go on to Max 1 and if you could pull up the Ozark camera, but maybe point it a little bit more towards the storm. This is a live. He's looking at this camera. I'm gonna have him move it. So it's a little bit facing back towards the west to watch that storm come in. But right now, I'm not able to control it from this one. I think the link's on the other computer. But this is what it looks like from RDOT's perspective. Right along I-40, you see that severe thunderstorm that's producing that large hail, still up to a golf ball-sized hail now. It's not as big as it was with the baseball-sized hail that was coming in from Fort Smith and Alma and Dyer. but now coming into Mulberry and Ozark, we've got some more of that golf ball sized hail, but that storm off towards the west is definitely moving in close. So we've got multiple new severe thunderstorm warning now for Goshen, Sonora, and headed towards Huntsville. Pretty much every single storm out there is now severe thunderstorm warned. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different warnings counting just off the top of my head. Marching east. Once you get west of the cold front, you are done. So once the cold front passes, you don't have to worry about thunderstorms anymore. But let's take a closer look from north to south on some of the velocities. We still have a little bit of rotation there towards Mulberry. Something to watch. It's still broad, but we'll just keep checking this every once in a while. I just want to scan in there for a moment. The big threat is that hail. You can see all these hail cores that we've had in their tracks too as they march eastbound. We have a lot of cold air to work with upstairs, and we built up a lot of the heat downstairs, and that produces a perfect environment for some of this hail. Looks like the hail's coming out of Garfield. This will be coming into Carroll County here shortly, Beaver, Arkansas, and then coming into there towards the dam, and then north into Table Rock Lake. We've got some hail. Also got some hail coming into Carroll County. See Kavanaugh headed towards Green Forest. This should mainly just stay outside of Berryville, at least the hail core, but we've got multiple downpours in between. So when we're showing you these maps, these aren't just showing you where the storm is. We're just looking at the hail core specifically. Here's a closer look at that hail core crossing into Carroll County. Just Highway 62, beautiful forest land. National Forest up here towards the north. You see the northern ends of Beaver Lake. We've had some hail there towards Sailboat Cove and then back towards Lost Bridge Marina. Farther towards the south, multiple hail cores coming in across Sebastian County. We have one there coming in Monroe, just south of Sugarloaf and north of Poteau Mountain. We've got hail coming in Monroe, and then it's going to head east towards Waldron. We could be getting some of that hail too. We've got some hail over Sugarloaf Lake heading into Midland. Now it's moving east to Greenwood. We're kind of impacted next, but let's take a look at this cell. This has been a monster. It does look like it's weakened a bit to golf ball sized hail coming into into Franklin County. County line's right here crossing the Mulberry River. That's why the county line is a little bit wonky. That's the river itself. But there towards Mulberry, we're watching that hail press eastbound. But Ozark, we're next. There towards Cravens, White Oak, and Ozark. Looks like we got some serious backups, though, along I-40, anywhere between the Mulberry exit and then east towards the Workman's Travel Center, which is about here. We've got some multiple backups along I-40. Highway 64, it looks like we also have some slowdowns there towards the Mulberry Junior High School, which is on the east side of town. And then you head along Highway 64 right into Ozark is where we're going to be watching this storm come in next by the banks of the Arkansas River. The high school is about here. If you live anywhere near the high school, we're watching the hail core come to you guys. I think the hail may be a little bit stronger on the north side of the interstate for Ozark. So that would include anywhere around White Oak, the Ozark City Lake there on the north side, which is about here. You can kind of see that indent on the map. There's Ozark City Lake, headed north along Watalula Road, and then north towards White Oak is where we're going to be watching this. Wire Road is about here too. Watalula, Sullivan Crosslands, Jethro, we could be getting some of that hail, but it's coming out of Mulberry, kind of passing Cravens right now, which is about here. We've got Cravens, Arkansas, coming into Cravens and then pushing quickly there towards the north side of Ozark as we're going to watch this storm. But down to about golf ball sized hail. This storm pretty healthy, crossing Highway 71 there towards Dayton and just south of Greenwood there towards Witcherville. Witcherville, we're watching some of the hail coming to you guys, just kind of looking downstream right there along Vineyard Creek and Greenwood City Lake, which is on the south side of town. If you live anywhere near the Greenwood City Lake, the boat ramps on the east side, that's where we're going to watch hail come in here within a few moments. The Greenwood Reservoir, Greenwood Lake, headed north towards, let's see, Jack Nolan Lake too. This is the time of year where some folks are brave enough to get on the smaller lakes and maybe go paddleboarding or kayaking. And we've been watching some of these lakes get hit with some of this hail. But Jack Nolan Lake and Greenwood City Lake, they're coming in with some hail. Highway 10 coming out of Greenwood, you should be watching out for some hail there towards Jack Nolan. Let's see, farther towards the south. So Witcherville, it looks like we got a new scan and it's even upticked even a little bit more. We could have larger than golf ball sized hail coming in now, probably just under baseball, but somewhere larger than golf ball sized hail. Dayton, we're included on this. Let's see, anywhere along 79, which kind of goes at a slant. We're watching some of that hail come in for you guys too. But that's a big cell. That looks to be maybe one of our strongest cells now. The one that we have in Franklin County has weakened a little bit. We're getting skimmed in Ozark with some of those storms just outside of town. But it's that Witcherville, Dayton storm that's the strongest at this time. Downstream, looking at Logan County, Booneville, we've got a good cell that's popping up actively over us right now. And so that's one to watch. We also have those severe thunderstorms in eastern Johnson County, Knoxville and Lamar, and then east. So the Piney Bay campground, and then eastbound into Pope County is where we're watching those storms. But cooler air is coming in. Most of us now, if you live in Oklahoma, are getting clear. We're still watching things east of the state line, but that front continues to push on through. And then once it pushes through, you're done. It looks like the only warning that we still have in Oklahoma is in south central LaFleur County. They're just south of Heavener. So you're kind of near Poteau Mountain, the Heavener Runestone State Park, the Monroe area. We've got some hail, looks like, for us, and then more storms once you cross the state line. Fort Smith, we're done. Van Buren, we're done. Uniontown, Cedarville, we're done. Fayetteville, we're done. Rogers, we're done. Bentonville, we're done. If you live anywhere near Siloam Springs, we're done. Farmington, Siloam Springs, Prairie Grove, Salisaw, Vian, Webbers Falls, Poteau, there towards Pecola, Spiro, Tallahena, we're all done. So if you live in Oklahoma, you're done for the day. Winds are going to be picking up out of the west, drying you out. But if you live anywhere east of US 71, we still have several storms. It's pretty much mainly all now east of 71, except this one last storm that's crossing the state line into Scott County. Waldron, we're going to be next as this comes in towards us. But our strongest storm is there right over the Witcherville and Dayton area, pushing east towards Jack, Nolan, Lake, and the Greenwood City Park, which is on that south side. I'm going to back things up. Were we able to turn that camera by chance, or is it messing up? Oh, there it goes. Okay. Yeah. No, great job. There's the thunderstorm. Set this down to the side. So you're watching the storm approach Ozark in from the west. The worst part of the storm is actually kind of a little bit more toward. Are we looking directly north now?
It's still northwest.
Oh, still northwest. Okay. So we're going to be watching that storm come in. As you can see it still. We still have lots of heavy rain. Those are your rain shafts right there. So storm clouds above. You may even get some pockets of lightning too. We've been watching these puffy cumulus clouds quickly grow. And once they start growing, within about 30 minutes, they have some hail. But this is a live look there in Ozark from our Arkansas Valley Electric and Wave Cam, looking at the severe storm headed towards Ozark. If you are in Ozark, hail's coming at you. Meteorologist Stephen Elmore, do you have an update on the radar, where we stand with all the warnings?
Yeah, we can take a quick look at radar right here. I mean, what the mess we have right now. We got severe thunderstorm warnings in all of our counties right now. Again, but we just cleared a whole lot of people. Poteau, Fort Smith, Fayetteville, Rogers, Bentonville. Basically 49 and eastward, that's where the storms are heading. If you're on the west side of 49, you're in the clear for this heading into the evening hours now. Hopefully by the time we get to our shows tonight, 5 and 6, we'll be talking about these leaving northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. Obviously, several times we've showed you the level 1, 2, and 3 layers over northwest Arkansas and the River Valley, but obviously the greatest threat is towards central Arkansas. So this line of thunderstorms has really come together pretty much exactly like we expected it to play out. We started off with those isolated thunderstorms across eastern Oklahoma, started to come together across the state line, now forming into one line of thunderstorms tracking all across the state for the rest of the night tonight. I think continuing south of where we're seeing this line end is also going to see some potential for those thunderstorms to start to bubble up here very quickly. Obviously, further south you go, we got those warmer temperatures. Matt showed you the temperatures earlier. Where that cold front hasn't reached yet in portions of Johnson, Logan, and Scott counties, we've still got mid-80s right now. So this cold front moving in is going to clash with those temperatures. We're going to see the potential for that severe weather continuing further east you head, with that greater potential for some hail. Obviously, we've seen some hail already. Let's take a look at those hail cores right now, where they stand really quick. Let's go here and turn off the track. This is all good news, because earlier, like you just saw on the track, here I'll show you, obviously, and if you're in Fort Smith, you witnessed it firsthand. That's what's happened already. This deep purple, we're going to see some impressive images coming out of some of these hail tracks that have already moved through portions of the River Valley. Good news is this is where we stand right now across the River Valley. We've got one cell just moving into Logan County now. And we've got another cell crossing over the state line out of LaFleur County into Scott counties, but very small cells right now of those hail cores. Latest update, getting even better, seeing more and more of that gray. That's a good sign. This hail core moving out of Johnson County further into central Arkansas. So this is all good news, but you're not out of the clear yet, because what we've seen, if history continues to prove itself, we're going to potentially see these hail cores pulse back up into areas that haven't seen anything yet. So Logan County, you live in Logan County, this is why you still have that severe thunderstorm warning. They're not going to go ahead and cancel that, because we have the potential of it moving into an atmosphere. Hasn't seen much yet. Could see some more activity once we go out. Speaking of which, there's a small hail core popping up right there in southern Logan County. So we could see this potentially be our new hail track. If you're in Paris right now, while you haven't seen much yet, you've seen what's happened further out towards the west. So just be prepared for the potential to happen in your community. Let's take a look at northwest Arkansas. We're starting to see a hail core, small hail core, Elkins and Goshen, moving into Madison County, Huntsville. You haven't seen anything yet. You could see the potential for both these hail cores to pulse back up and move in closer towards Madison County. We had that cell move through northern Benton County. That's moved off into southern Missouri now. Looks like, I know obviously we're not covering Branson, but a lot of people going out there now that the weather's nicer, especially on the weekend. Looks like right now this is going to move north and west of Branson. Hopefully that stays the same for all those families out there having a fun weekend this weekend. We had really nice weather earlier, and when more than anybody living here, when we have nice weather, usually that comes to an end once we have that cold front coming through, bringing the severe weather. All right, so there's our hail cores right there. Very small hail cores right now, could have the potential. I think the greatest potential to see these pulse back up is this cell moving into Madison County. Logan County, you could see a hail core start to pop up, and into southern Scott County, you could see that hail core pop up. Let's take a look at who's having a rainy day right now. Again, all on the east side of 49 is starting to see those showers really starting to clear out. Really probably starting to, Fort Smith right now, I don't know if we can pull up a camera later on. It's probably looking pretty nice right now that the severe weather has really started to move on. What we're concerned about now is the counties that we mentioned. Again, this is Scott, Logan, and Johnson counties is where we had the greatest threat from Storm Prediction Center already, that level 3 enhanced risk. So if that continues to tell the same story, we're going to see the potential for these severe thunderstorm warnings to carry on into southeastern portions of the river valley. Moving into Madison County, you've got a mess too. You've got two cells, one on the south side of Madison County and one on the north side of Madison County in the middle. Those are where those severe thunderstorm warnings start to meet, and we could see these cells really start to come together here in just a little bit. The cell that was causing a lot of issues for the east side of Clarksville has moved on out of here now. But again, Clarksville, be on the lookout. We'll time those cells out for you of when they're going to reach Clarksville. Again, could speed up, slow down, but this is a rough estimate of when they're going to be reaching you. Paris, you're right on the doorstep, a couple minutes. 3:54, Clarksville 4:15, Lamar 4:26. So you've got some time if you're in Clarksville. Got about, 20 minutes, 25 minutes till this line reaches you. But again, these are still isolated. These haven't really, they've started to come together, but it's not a direct line of thunderstorms yet. Isolated, so hopefully we'll see for the folks living in Clarksville that these two cells split Clarksville and go on the north and south side of it. But keep an eye on the potential for these two joining together. Could see a hail track starting to form moving into Clarksville within the next hour. We'll get rid of that track. Let's take a look at the rain potential moving into, again, right across 49. I mean, heavy populated areas, Bentonville, Rogers, Fayetteville, down to Winslow. You're all clear. You're done for the day. You had your severe weather. Now you can enjoy the rest of your evening. What we're talking about is now moving up into the mountains in Madison County, Carroll County. You're seeing a heck of a mess right now. Berryville, you saw one cell move through. You could see the secondary cell right behind it moving through as well. And then St. Paul, we're going to see some of that potential severe weather moving in as well. We've got several severe thunderstorm warnings overlapping each other right here. So this cell is pretty strong right now. It's even into the severe category. That hail track, even though it's low right now, has the potential to pulse back up. I know meteorologist Stephen Abshire earlier mentioned, 2-inch in diameter in Crawford County. So we've had some strong hail, have the potential to see some stronger hail continue. Just these severe thunderstorm warnings continue because all of our eastern side of our viewing area has yet to see a whole lot of action. I know, obviously, Carroll County has seen some of those thunderstorms move through east side of Clarksville, but the rest of Johnson County hasn't seen anything yet. So it's moving into an atmosphere where it could see this pulse back up just a bit. Logan County, you've got the severe thunderstorm warning moving into Paris right now. I won't be surprised if they continue the severe thunderstorm warning through the rest of Logan County and past our viewing area, and the same for Scott County. Waldron right now, just on the doorstep with those heavy showers, some hail cores, probably going to be continuing through the rest of Scott County. And as I say that, they're starting to trim that down just a bit for Scott County. So let's track out the rest of this, because we've got Paris coming up. Paris pretty much right now, I would assume. Yeah, Paris just in a couple minutes. You're going to see this line of thunderstorms right here, just on the west side of Paris, starting to move in. Waldron, Russellville, closer towards 5 o'clock. So Waldron, you got some time, but still right on the doorstep. This is a very steep angle for this thunderstorm right here, so working a little bit faster for folks in Paris than in Waldron. Clarksville, you're seeing clear skies right now. Nothing in Johnson County, but you've got all this moving right along 49. Don't know if we have a camera reaching across 49 right there, but a really strong cell. Not severe warned right here. Could see some hail moving across 49. I know we had already a few pockets of hail moving across 40 already.
If you want, I can show you some of the camps along I-40.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and take Max 2 up, and then we can bring it full for a second, and then we'll walk through the big word. But I want to show you what it looks like with some of the hail coming into. All right, so you're looking at Ozark right now. That's you're looking back east as you look at some of the hails that are pushing away from us. But I can also show you some of those cells back off towards the west too. You know, you are looking right there.
Oh, is it good now? I think, okay. I think, sorry, my mic was acting up. So now you're looking there in Ozark, you're looking back towards the west, there towards the sunset. You've got another storm coming at you as you look to some of those ridges. But then now we're looking more eastbound, southeast. You see some of the heavy rain that's falling out there. You see the bridge there at Ozark. Multiple storms out in the distance, so it gets a little bit messy. There's not just one to track. Now, the one that we've been watching, guys, it looks like we have a little bit of a mesocyclone on it. This is the same one that's been having a broad rotation there from Mulberry and now headed towards, you're now north of Ozark. I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and take big board here in a second. But you're looking at that a little bit of a rotation, which has been evident on velocity throughout the afternoon, but nothing coming down. This is why we have our cameras. You don't have anything falling down out of the cloud. So now we're back to here at the studio. We're watching this thing, this dark piece of cloud that's a little bit lower. This is something that's been broadly rotating. These storms haven't had a lot of rotation, but they have a little bit. And sometimes that rotation actually helps the updrafts and helps them produce even larger hailstones. So from their perspective, they want a little bit rotation, so that's why we've seen even monster hailstones just across the River Valley and Northwest Arkansas. But we'll continue to watch this. It's just been broad the whole time, but as it moves eastbound, it may be something that starts to rotate into central Arkansas. This storm's been very healthy. This has been one of our strongest storms. This is the storm that dropped hail from Fort Smith into Alma and then into Dyer, Mulberry, now into Ozark as you're looking kind of north and east. Let's go ahead and take a look. I'll keep this camera up for just a second. I want to show you what it looks like there at Hunt, Arkansas. Looks like we've got some of that hail that Stephen was talking about. So hail falling actively at this time. We have multiple accidents across the River Valley and into the mountains because of some of this hail. And then police cruisers respond to the vehicles. I'm sure there's probably some cracked windows. I mean, when you have hailstones that are golf ball sized hail up to tennis ball sized hail, you can start putting some cracks. And then plus your car is moving at 60 miles per hour. So that means the hailstone's kind of hitting it even harder as you're zooming down the highway. But active hail coming down in the Dyer and Hunt area. So you're looking in Hunt, you see the hail falling, cars still trying to make their way out on this afternoon. Here's a wide view, still multiple severe thunderstorm warnings at this time. Lots of lightning here in the one that's coming into Madison County. Huntsville, we've got some good lightning for us. In the Carroll County, we've got some cells too, although the strongest one is now moving east out of our viewing area, and then more cells coming into Logan County. This is taking a look at that velocity, just kind of eyeballing a lot of these. We have some wind coming into Ozark too. not only just, we only have that small rotation that's in this area, a little bit messy on the radar, but we've got some strong straight line winds, it looks like, across parts of Logan County. Boonville, the wind's going to be picking up for you guys, and then this wind, see right where this red is, this bright red, that's some wind that's going to be headed towards Paris too. This is, once again, a live look at Max Doppler 5 with all the hail cores. It shows you not only the hail that's out there, but also the tracks that we have out there too. So let's take a quick tour from north to south. I went ahead and took the tracks off for a moment just to see the active cores. It looks like Beaver, Arkansas, north of Eureka Springs. That's really weakened, so that is good news. From Beaver Lake west, I think you're good. That means Prairie Creek, Rogers, Bentonville, Bella Vista, we're good this hour. But we're still watching some of these storms across Carroll County. They're just a lot weaker. We had a storm cross over Highway 62 just east of Green Forest. That's moving east towards Omaha. They're crossing 65 here shortly, but that's getting kind of far out too. Here's a closer look in the River Valley, where we're watching still multiple cells. They've gone down in intensity over time. Compared to what we were tracking about 30 minutes ago, all the hail cores have weakened a bit, but our strongest one is just outside of Paris. That's one to kind of watch there in Logan County as you're headed just near Ratcliffe right now. It looks like we've got some of this hail that's coming into town. Here's a closer look at the cell that was rotating a little bit. So you're looking north, just east of due north. There was that rotation. Waterloo is still producing some of that hail for you guys. This will eventually keep on pushing into the Boston Mountains there towards Batson, going up 219 as you're getting closer to Batson. And then the White Oak Creek Falls. You guys may know that area, beautiful falls. We're watching some of that hail too. All right, so let's go a little bit farther. This is just taking the track off. So we got that hail over Watalula pressing towards the north and east. Logan County is one to really watch next because we haven't had too much yet, but now they're coming in. So we've got multiple hail cores in and around Boonville. Notice how they kind of uptick and then they die too. They're cycling a little bit, but we've got multiple hail pockets across Logan County. We've got some hail across Scott County too. Brawley headed to Oliver and Waldron. Waldron, be on the lookout. We really haven't had much, but this storm's coming in from the west. It could produce some hail for us too. Tate, Arkansas, we're watching you guys with some hail coming in here shortly. And then once again, the Paris area, something to watch. I'm gonna step off just to the side for a quick second. I wanna zoom in on that cell that's coming into Paris right now. All right, so here's a closer look there towards Carbon City, Coxville, especially just south of Coxville, as we're watching that hail right now towards Roseville, and then and Ratcliffe. You got Coxville, you got Ratcliffe. It's kind of going along 22. It's going to come into Carbon City first. Looks like we even have some slowdowns on Highway 22. They're just past the Rockin' and Roofin' near Carbon City. Coming up about here is where we're watching a little bit of a slowdown there on 22. It'll be moving eastbound towards the Vineyard, that Cowie Wine Cellars and Vineyard coming in the west side of Paris. And then we're into Paris itself. Once you get where Highway 22 meets 309. Paris, we're watching some of this hail coming in for you guys next. Driggs, we're watching you guys, so a little bit farther south. The Paris Reservoir, if you see know anyone at the Paris Reservoir today, watch out for some hail for them. But this thing is still kind of a little bit rural of an area where you got some of the northern fringes of the Washitas here coming in right around, let's see, Highway 23 goes south. We're watching some of that hail right just south of Coxville. But Carbon City and Paris, you guys are next. Watch out for some hail. Driggs, we're going to be watching out for some hail too. But anywhere from Driggs and the Driggs Park, which is on the north side, all the way to the Paris Reservoir, we'll be watching that hail march eastbound. So there's the storm itself just on normal radar. Lots of cells continue to press eastbound right now. Looks like Benton County completely is in the clear. Washington County is completely in the clear. Crawford County completely in the clear. Sequoia, Adair, Delaware, we're in the clear. LaFleur, we're in the clear. Technically, you do see the warning still in LaFleur, but that storm is pressing east. That one's looking pretty healthy as it heads towards Waldron. Looks like that Mulberry storm has really weakened. That is good news. We still have that active warning over northeastern Franklin County into the mountains, but for us right along I-40, I think we're wrapping things up. Most of the storms are south of Franklin County. Once you get south and east Charleston, they're towards Coxville, Ratcliffe, and then coming to Carbon City and Paris. We're next. Rain's already trying to come into Paris, but from Paris to Driggs, right there past the Paris Reservoir, we've got some of that hail too, and then that good cell that's coming into Waldron as well. I'm going to go back to hail track for a moment, and I want to go northbound. Stephen, you got something? You got an update on the hail tracks?
Yeah, we were just talking about how really our greatest threat right now is just that hail core outside of Paris. So here's the track for you. I know Matt was just about to get going on it, but we got it right here. Paris, Subiaco, Paris at 4:07 here in about 5 minutes. You're going to see this hail core. If it keeps its track, if you live in Paris, it's going to go right over Paris. Subiaco, 4:13. You got some time, about 10 minutes before we're going to be start talking about the potential for some hail for you guys as well. Again, this is our largest hail core right now. We've seen larger throughout the day. This could have the potential for growing in size, or we could see this track really start to pulse down a bit. I mean, its track has grown ever since, so maybe starting to reach the peak of our largest hail core that we're going to see, but still got a while to go potentially as we go out. I know Matt's been doing a really great job of clearing out some communities of who is in the clear, who's not. I know that's what a lot of people want to know right now. Am I going to see any more hail? Am I going to see any more rain? For the most part, we're starting to limit the hail cores that we have currently active right now. Franklin County, we have one severe thunderstorm warning that has just a small hail core right there. Anywhere, probably small, way smaller than golf ball size hail, but larger, probably around nickel to quarter, I would imagine, for that hail core right there. Very small area though. Again, this is our darkest hail core that we're seeing right now, just outside of Paris. If it continues its track, it's going to move right through Paris. Waldron, on the west side, you've got some small hail as well, but for the most part, it looks like it's going to stay pretty weak right now. It's just that gray. If we start to see that light blue, that dark blue, that's when we're starting to see that pulse back up again. Really what we're focusing on here, outside of, I know we have severe thunderstorm warnings lined all across our viewing area. Our main threat throughout this whole event has just been those hail cores. What we're focusing on, rather than showing you radar where the rain is right now, the severe threat to these severe thunderstorm warnings is going to be those hail cores. So that's why we're only showing you these blue spots right now. Great news for northern Franklin County moving into Johnson County. That hail core really started to shrink down just a bit, only seeing that gray now. Won't be surprised if they let these severe thunderstorm warnings go, especially now since it looks like there's no hail in Franklin County anymore unless you're right on the line between Franklin and Johnson counties, moving just north of 49. And just as I mentioned that, they went ahead and canceled that severe thunderstorm warning. So look at that. All right, this severe thunderstorm warning also in Franklin County, moving into Madison County. No hail cores showing up on radar. Won't be surprised if they let that one go as well. And then Madison County, they still have a severe thunderstorm warning. No hail cores showing up on radar. Won't be surprised if they let go of that as well. Now, the reason that they're carrying this out, see how these pulse back up again. We had this hail core just on the east side of Clarksville, now moving out of our viewing area, but we've got that purple showing back up again. That's the trend that's going to continue for your friends and family further out towards central Arkansas the rest of the evening tonight, is that this is going to pulse up and down, and it looks like the strongest potential for these storms is going to be close towards central Arkansas, who's already had a busy severe weather season already. Let's go ahead and zoom in here to Paris. That is really my main concern right now. That's the only strongest signature that we're seeing other than just those gray spots. And we're going to time this out. Latest track looks like it might be just moving on the north side of Paris. Paris still going to see some of that hail though. 4:11, you've got about 5 minutes before this hail core moves into right through Paris, south of Coal Hill. We are going to see this hail track continue to move through. Let's take a look at northwest Arkansas. Again, folks in Paris, start to bring those valuables inside if you can. You got some time here. That's going to cause a large headache. You've got this line of thunderstorms moving, definitely raining and lightning in Paris already, so maybe running out of time to get those valuables inside. Boonville, you didn't have much of a hail core, I don't believe, but you definitely saw some strong winds. You definitely saw some lightning and some heavy rainfall. Still seeing some rainfall probably over the next about 30 minutes before that moves further out towards the east. Paris, you're just starting to get that heavy rainfall in, and with how large this cell is, you're probably going to see some heavy rainfall and some lightning for a prolonged amount of time. Probably closer to 45 minutes to an hour is how you can expect this cell to move through all the way through Paris before we're talking about it moving closer towards the south side of Clarksville. For this cell, this is all these cells are moving up towards the northeast. I want to take, I know this is way out of our viewing area, but I want to take a closer look of how long this cell stretches. So the good news is, and I'll show you what it looks like on Storm Prediction Center, is they had that level 3 polygon literally from all the way into southern and central Missouri, reaching south into Louisiana. The good news is, as it stands right now, as this line of thunderstorms is only moving through portions of, it'll probably pick it up on the other radar, portions of southern Arkansas, starting to see some. So the strongest threat right now has been in northwest Arkansas and the River Valley, moving into southern Missouri. Now, we still got several severe thunderstorm warnings. As we took a look at those hail cores, I think they'll start to drop some of these, especially the ones who don't have any hail right now. Main concern being north side of Clarksville, right through Paris is really about to see some strong lightning. See all those lightning cores right there. I think Paris is going to be just our main, Paris and Waldron is going to be our main talking point right now. Taking a closer look at Paris, you're seeing that pink right there. That's where our hail core is going to be. And all this lightning coming through. A really strong thunderstorm about to move through. I believe the wind gusts are still only at 60 miles an hour, so it's at our minimal for severe thunderstorm warnings, but it's producing some hail still, so that's why they've got this severe thunderstorm warning. Boonville, you don't have that hail core. You're really just starting to see some heavy rainfall, some lightning mixed in there as well. Who's clear right now? Ozark, Charleston, Greenwood, Mansfield. East side of Mansfield, you're still seeing some of that rainfall, but here in the next 15, 20 minutes, you're going to see that move out as well. So Clarksville through Paris, through Waldron, that's what we're focusing on right now as the potential to see some of those hail cores pop up. Otherwise, we could just have a good, strong thunderstorm moving through, bringing some heavy rain and some lightning through these areas as well. Reading some of our Facebook comments right now. Boonville seeing hail right now. Paris. Yeah. So these are our areas that we're talking about. Of course, we mentioned it before. Love the comments telling you what you guys are seeing at home. New severe thunderstorm warning for Logan County, southern Logan County, into Scott County. That's what we were talking about earlier. Because these areas yet across eastern sides of Scott County and the eastern sides of Logan County, this is untouched atmosphere. So we haven't had those thunderstorms move through yet, so we could see these continue to pick up over the next hour or so. Moving all the way across Scott County is when we're going to see this this thunderstorm, this cell, really starting to track through. Could see this pick up as well. Let's check out the information on our new severe thunderstorm warning for southern Logan County and through the rest of Scott County. This is going to go all the way out until 5 p.m., leading all the way up to our show. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail for now. Let's see that hail core. Quarter-size hail? Okay, and then we'll take off the tracks. Yeah, could see some hail. Another track possibly starting to fire up on the, oh, there's our latest update. Yeah, we've got a line of hail starting to move through now. The good news is our core that we were worried about on the west side of Paris looks like it's died down just a bit. Still some significant hail though. We've got some at the southern side of south of Paris, southern Logan County. And then we've got multiple cells reaching to Mena outside of Waldron as well. So just a few more severe thunderstorm warnings to go. Let's take a look at our one in Madison County. The radar's not showing any hail cores right now. Let's check out velocity, see if we got some strong winds moving through there. Some strong winds. I think it's really a lot of heavy rainfall across Huntsville right now. No hail cores showing up on radar doesn't mean there's not any there. Could be some small hail across Huntsville. Not sure how long they'll hold on to this one, especially since most of this polygon is clear right now. But for the most part, this severe thunderstorm warning, I would assume that's going to expire once we get to the time there, which is going to be at 4:15. Yeah, they're going to let this thing just ride on out. 4:15, only in 6 minutes here, we'll see this polygon start to dissipate, I imagine, unless they decide to carry it on. If it starts to pulse back up again, they will absolutely let that severe thunderstorm warning continue. Carroll County, no severe thunderstorm warnings. Berryville, you're seeing some strong thunderstorms right now. Below the severe limit, though. Bentonville, absolutely in the clear. No rain at all. Washington County, you're in the clear as well. Crawford County, Sequoia County, we're pretty much just getting to the point where we're clear for now. I imagine we'll lose a severe thunderstorm warning in Madison County here in just a bit as this tracks further off towards northern Arkansas and southern Missouri. We've got a new severe thunderstorm warning for Logan County. Yeah, this is what we were talking about earlier. Again, untouched atmosphere across eastern portions of Logan County. So this is why we're going to see this line of thunderstorms start to pick up here in a little bit. It's actually even starting to show that we're going to see some strong winds involved in this as well. This line of thunderstorms is really starting to level out here. Let's pull up velocity real quick. We got some strong wind gusts coming through Waldron. Heavy downpour and heavy strong lightning through Paris right now. Let's take a look at those hail cores. And turn off the tracks. So yeah, good thunderstorm moving through, reaching from Waldron to Paris, moving into eastern sides of Logan and Scott County. We're just on the western side of Paris and Waldron right now. This is going to be tracking through. So you got family, you got friends in these communities moving across central Logan and Scott counties. That's where the storm is right now. Most likely is going to track all the way through the rest of the county over the next hour or so. Good news is that hail core isn't as significant right now. And we've only got 4 more minutes on this warning for Madison County. So we're getting close to the finish line here before this moves on out towards central Arkansas. Let's take a look of how long this severe thunderstorm warning is going to go to. 5 o'clock. So both of these new warnings are going all the way up until our showtime at 5 o'clock. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. I don't think, unless Matt, you tell me differently, I don't think at all throughout the day today we've seen these warnings involve wind gusts over 60 miles an hour. Could see some peaking up near a little bit higher, but overall our wind gusts haven't been a huge concern. We maybe saw some slight rotation, but that hasn't been a concern as well. All day today, all we've been talking about is the potential for these hail cores, and the good news is that they're pretty weak right now. Let's see here.
I can show you some of the cameras.
Yeah, let's go
Give
to
me a second,
cameras.
too. Max 2, let's go ahead and pull up the big board here in just a moment. You're watching this storm from Ozark. This is the kind of the last hurrah when it comes to large hailstones in the river valley. Once this storm clears, we're done. We're already done in Oklahoma. We're done in northwest Arkansas. Madison County's warning is about to expire, just like Stephen was saying. And then in the heart of the river valley around Fort Smith, Van Buren, Greenwood, we're looking a lot better. It's our eastern river valley county. So you're looking in Ozark, you're looking over the river. Normally you would see Mount Magazine in the distance. You're not going to see it because these storms are so large, producing a lot of rain and some hail too. This is a live look in Lamar. You're looking back west. I know these RDOT cameras focus on the road, so it's hard to see some of the skyscapes, but we have a lot of wind coming in off this storm particularly. It's starting to mesh into one long line, which means the gusty wind threat will go up. But like Stevens mentioned, we haven't had too much in terms of crazy wind. It's mainly been all about that hail. But we do have some wind that's picking up across Logan and Johnson County. So here's a wide view with these storms. And this has been our threat for a while. Once they start forming one nasty line, the wind threat becomes dominant and it presses east. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these storms that we have still active. You can see the wind. The bright red show you some of the gusty winds that we have out there, but we're really watching some of that wind and some of this bright red right here coming into Paris and Driggs, right over the Paris Reservoir and into the Mount Magazine Scenic Byway. This shows you a loop of some of the hail that we've had. The largest hail so far today has been from Van Buren, Fort Smith, right into parts of Barling, and then into Kibler and Alma. That's where we've had the largest, but we've also had massive hail around Garfield. We've had some hail there on the southeast side of Fayetteville, closer to Greenland and West Fork. We've had some monster hail just east of Poto. We've had some hail over Kavanaugh Hill, but then it got a little bit weaker for a second, and then it picked up there headed towards Monroe and headed towards Sugarloaf. We've had some large hail just south of Poto Mountain, there south of Heebner, coming into parts of Hackett and Midland. We've had some hail, but right now actively we've got hail coming into Waldron. You can see some of the gray showing you some of the nickel-sized hail coming into Waldron. We also have that large hail coming into Paris, although it looks like in the absolute latest scans it started to downtrend just a little bit. Here's the closer view in the River Valley. These are our last hail cores. So Franklin County, you're good. Sebastian County, you're good. Crawford County, you're also good. Scott County, Anywhere around Waldron, we're watching that hail, but back west, if you live close to the state line, you're good. Once that storm passes through, you're done for the day. Winds are picking up. In fact, meteorologist Stephen Abshire, he's been showing me some of the temperatures out there in Oklahoma. They're dropping to the low and mid 50s right now. That cooler air is going to come in, and do not be surprised if some of our temperatures drop into the low 40s and upper 30s coming up tomorrow morning. He'll be checking those temperatures tomorrow. You want to tune in with him. He'll let you know how cold it gets. I think we're safe from a freeze just because the wind's going to be blowing so much. It's hard for a freeze to take place and frost, but we'll continue to work on that forecast. But right now, the largest hail is in Logan County. We got multiple pockets, large hail coming down in the Booneville area. Looks like we've got near quarter to maybe a marble golf ball sized hail and around Booneville. We've got some of that hail coming into Driggs, which is about here. You've got the Paris Reservoir, which is south of town. Hail coming in for you guys. Into Paris proper, east of Carbon City, it looks like the hail is a little bit weaker at this time, but still pressing east. Mount Magazine's right here. You're watching some hail come in towards the western slopes. And then in Johnson County, we're getting rain, but there's a little bit of hail in the Boston Mountains, just east of Batson. That's going to continue east. It might hit us at the Strawberry Bluffs, but most of this is avoiding Clarksville at the moment, but that could definitely change over the next couple of hours. Here's a closer look in Johnson County. They're east of Batson, so we're skimming the mountains right now with this hail core, staying north of Clarksville. But you can sometimes see these pixels on the map trying to show some gray every once in a while. What that's meaning is we got this thunderstorm barreling through. Most times it's heavy rain and large droplets, but there could also be some smaller hailstones at times. But the larger, more damaging hail is north into the mountains. Let's go to the south. We'll look in parts of Logan and Scott counties. Here's Paris. We've got hail coming in to the southwest side of town. There towards the reservoir. Driggs, and then Mount Magazine right here, watching hail come in for you guys. Booneville has probably some of the largest hail at this time, especially on the south side of town. And then in around Waldron, we've got some of this hail, and these will continue to press towards the east. Here's a closer look into Paris. So you see all the city streets coming into town. Remember almost this time last year, maybe minus a month or two, we were watching all that wind that came through with that storm on the north side of town. It looks like this storm is mainly impacting the south side of town, so south of the water treatment plant. You guys know where that is? And then as you're making your way towards the scenic byway, you've got the reservoir right here where the map goes indented for a second. That's the Paris Reservoir. We've got some hail for you guys. And then Calico Mountain Road, we've got some hail for us too. But Booneville and Mount Magazine seem to have our largest hail at this time. Here's a wider view of some of these storms. It's pretty much a wall of water from the Strawberry Bluffs right through Clarksville into Shoal Creek, Subiaco, Scranton. We're about to get some of that rain. Coal Hill, I think we're wrapping things up. Looks like Franklin County pretty much in the clear now. Yeah, we're still getting some rain, extreme southeastern Franklin County. They're closer to Weederker Village or so. We're maybe still getting some rain for us, but that won't last too much longer. Looks like all our warnings have been canceled in northwest Arkansas. We still have some good downpours in northern Madison County and Carroll County, and there could also be some tiny hail with some of these storms as they press east and north into Green Forest and into Berryville. But right now it's mainly these two storms, the one over Paris and Driggs and Mount Magazine, coming into Mount Magazine, and then Waldron. Those are our final storms. You get back west, not much is happening. Here's a look at some of our temperatures. In fact, now we've already dropped to 59 in Bentonville. Dropped to 63 in Rogers. We're quickly dropping out of the 80s in Oklahoma. See 70, 72, Sallisaw, Poto, respectively. 74 now in Fort Smith. But wherever we have the temperatures in the 80s and the upper 70s, that's where the atmosphere hasn't been touched so much. And that's what Stephen's been talking about. As these storms press eastbound, they can continue to thrive because they've got a nice south wind, but they also have a lot of heat and humidity too. But notice how south of the storms, we have more of that southwest wind. That's been helping us in the tornado department, because if the wind's not changing as much, I mean, you have a slight wind change with these storms. You're not getting as much of the rotation, but notice back east, once you get into central Arkansas, notice how that's a due south wind, and sometimes there could be some locations that get more of a south or a south-southeast wind, and what that could mean is that the greater tornado potential will be across central Arkansas. Our threat has been the hail. But as these storms press east out of 5COUNTRY, they become more wind-driven, and they become a little bit more cyclonic in terms of some of the leading edges of these storms. But you got more of that south wind, which will continue to help that. But here's a wide view again with these storms. Multiple severe thunderstorm warnings in the River Valley. Looks like they're redrawing the warning in Scott County. We've got the storm right over Paris and Paris Reservoir. This is headed east into Scranton and Subiaco. Shoal Creek, we're getting some of that. Spadra, Clarksville. We've been kind of getting hit or miss around Clarksville, Lamar, and Knoxville, but the clouds look real dark around town. This is once again a closer look there in Paris. Most of it's staying just south of Old Military Road. We had some of our most damage there along Old Military Road last year, but most of this is staying south. Brown Street, south of the water treatment plant, south of the Eiffel Tower that we have there. And then looks like that hail core has dropped a little bit there around Boonville. That's going to be headed east towards Waveland and Blue Mountain. Here's a closer look at some of the other hail cores. Johnson County, looks like we've really weakened our hail cores, so that's really good news. It's mainly the ones in Logan County. There's Waldron, continues to die off a little bit in towns. That's good news. It's mainly Paris, and you can see all the tracks that we've had. You can also see where we have the most amount of lightning too. That's where you have the strongest storm, and right now it's over you guys in Logan County. This is a look there from Lamar. You're looking back west, and then a live look in Ozark as you're looking towards that storm in Paris. We're looking on the back side of the storm, which gets a little bit fuzzy. You don't see as much storm structure from the back side. You got to be on the front side of the storm, but you do see the clouds are really dark when you're looking there towards Paris. You can't see Mount Magazine right now. Lots of heavy rain in between Ozark and Paris, but Ozark, we are now finally in the clear. Meteorologist Stephen Elmore, how about you take it away? You got some updates with the radar.
Yeah,
well.
and we'll go right back towards our viewing area, but I know, especially during this time of year, a lot of people are going to Branson. If you're in the Branson area, you got friends and family. Strong, severe thunderstorm moving into Branson right now. Some really strong wind gusts as well. This is going right over Branson, so you got family there. Go ahead and let them know, or they're probably seeing it right now. So, but if we take a look, again, we are almost towards the finish line here. We got a lot of people still ahead of this line of thunderstorms moving from Paris to out towards central Arkansas and then moving through Scott County right now. We've just gotten through the central portion of Scott County. Waldron right now seeing a lot of lightning, seeing a lot of that heavy rainfall right now. Those hail cores are really starting to die down as well. Clarksville, you're seeing some light rain right now. Maybe this cell it's affecting Paris right now will creep into Clarksville and bring you some heavier rain, but that shouldn't bring much in the way of hail anymore. Let's pull up our hail track real quick and show you what the latest hail core is. And we're starting to see actually maybe some tick up once again, just moving. Okay, so good news is Scott County, you're probably not seeing it. I know there's a little spot right over Waldron. If you're in Waldron, maybe you're seeing smaller than pea-size hail. If anything, that's good sign that hail core is starting to die down. South of Waldron, they're starting to see some hail pockets start to pop up there. And then just on the southeastern side of Paris, still have a little blue spot right there. That's going to be our largest hail core at the moment. That tracked off pretty well. That was our largest hail core for a while there. Good news is, looked like it stayed just on the south side of Paris. And then our warning moving into Johnson County and with Clarksville. Again, this is probably coming to an end pretty soon. We only have 2 hail cores right now in the gray, light gray. Most likely going to see that warning fall apart here. Actually, let's time these out. We might be coming close to the expiration time of most of these warnings. 4:45. Okay, so that's still 20 minutes from now. So we'll see if maybe they even decide to cancel this one. Maybe they just keep it because of the wind gust. Definitely the hail threat has significantly died down. And of course, our 2 severe thunderstorm warnings for Scott and Logan County going all the way out until 5 o'clock. Still got about 30 minutes on those. If these keep on trending the way they are currently, I believe that we'll start to see some of these warnings start to be canceled, but as long as there's hail cores within these polygons, they're going to go ahead and keep it. Now, they may trim down, but I think still Logan County is our greatest threat right now. Southeast of Paris, if you live in these communities, you're going to be affected moving into the eastern side of Logan County from this hail core. Still some strong winds, some downpours, and some strong, a lot of frequent flashes of lightning as well. Good news is for that hail core right over Waldron right now, it's very light, very small hail. We could see that track into an untapped environment on the eastern side of Scott County. Could be growing just a bit. And this is what we're going to see a lot of right here. You can't see it just yet. but they're trimming down these polygons. They've already trimmed it down once to cut off the west side of Logan County. They're most likely just going to continue following this line of hail all the way as it tracks across Logan County until the hail core goes away. And then they'll let that warning start to either expire or cancel it. So these are our 2 spots we're watching right now. The rest of northwest Arkansas, the rest of eastern Oklahoma, most of parts of the River Valley, all in the clear. Just 2 more warnings that we're looking out for here. We do have that warning in Johnson County, but I am only seeing these 2 small, well, this one's actually starting to pick up just a bit going into some higher elevation, but for the most part, we're starting to see these hail cores start to die down. And as I speak, this is why they're still holding on to this warning, because this hail core just on the southeast of Paris is starting to increase again. Now, this is very rural community, but if you live on the southeastern side of Logan County, southeastern of Paris, moving into some higher elevation, that's when we're starting to see this hail core really start to march on through once again. We'll go ahead and time this out. Moving directly east, again, very rural community, but if you live in these areas, you know someone traveling through these areas, maybe camping this weekend. This is where we're going to see some of that hail start to pulse back up again. An untapped environment moving closer towards the river, southeastern side of Logan County. Still just a little bit more of that, those temperatures probably still in the 80s. So we're still seeing this cold front track right through, producing some of that hail, producing some of that strong wind, producing some of that heavy rainfall as well. Magazine, if you went there this weekend, south side of Magazine, even into Magazine, we're seeing some of that strong, some of those hail cores start to pop up as well. It's in the gray, but it's still there. Let's go ahead and zoom out just a bit. We'll go ahead and take off that track. In very rural community, but if you are in those, you know someone in that area, they're seeing some of those hail cores pulse back up again. Same with Waldron. We went from that light gray starting to pick back up again, just south of Tate. So we're picking back up here just a little bit into these untapped environments that have yet to see any storms so far heading into the evening hours. Now, eventually, we are going to have to wrap things up, though, because, well, meteorologist Stephen Abshire and Chief Meteorologist Matt Standridge get to go home. You get to stay with me for the 5 and 6 o'clock shows. So we're going to have to get ready for that here eventually. But we'll definitely be keeping an eye on the southeastern side of Paris with this hail core. And we'll be definitely keeping our eye on Waldron, moving northeast of Waldron. And then again for northeastern Johnson County, moving into some higher elevation. They're seeing that hail core pop up as well. Matt, do you have anything for us?
I was just going to keep looking at some of these clouds as you're watching that storm press east.
If we're clouds, we can start potentially wrapping things up.
Yep.
Moving closer towards our show time, so we do have to start preparing for that, but we'll definitely be keeping you updated on this. If this hail core does start to pop up just a bit, we'll let it go out to its next scan. If we start seeing this grow in size, then we'll start getting some reports on that. But right now, we did the track. Again, very rural community, starting to see some of that hail start to move on through. So if you're in these areas, north of Blue Mountain Lake, could be seeing some hail. If you're boating, I think you can boat on Blue Mountain Lake, just outside of Magazine. We'll start to see some of that hail start to move through. All right, Matt, go ahead and show us some of those images.
Yeah, let's go ahead and show you what it looks like outside still. Lots of dark clouds off in the distance. We're still watching that storm in Paris push into Midway, New Blaine, and Delaware as you get closer to Lake Dardanelle State Park and you cross the river into Russellville. Let's do a quick tour and then we've got to get our newscast ready to go. This is once again a live look in Lamar. You're looking back off towards the west. Still pretty windy out there. Storms continue to press east. These are our final storms. This one's starting to bow just a little bit, which means we've got some good wind gusts that are pushing across Logan County, east of Paris. They're right along Highway 22 from Midway, New Blaine, and Delaware. So even south towards Sulphur Springs and Chickasaw, we're watching some of the hail and wind and lightning head towards you guys. But it looks like the largest hail is on the southeast side of Paris. So they're towards Corley and then just north of Mount Magazine. You get into some really beautiful but rural terrain there south and east of Paris. So you guys kind of go up on 309 a little bit. This storm pressing eastbound across Logan County. We'll take a closer look at some of these cells. Very strong wind gusts that are coming out of Paris too, up to 60-mile-per-hour winds across Logan County. We've had lots of those hail tracks area wide so far this afternoon, but we got a good core that's still just east of Corley, headed eastbound there eventually towards Subiaco, Midway, New Blaine, and Delaware. Sulphur Springs, we may be more in the path. New Blaine and Subiaco, we're a little bit farther north, and Delaware, we're a little bit farther north. But this is coming right towards Sulphur Springs, just north of Waveland and north of Havana. Then into Scott County, we still have some hail cores. We got one that's a little bit bigger there in the southern portion of the county coming from Polk County, just north of Mena. But these are our final storms. Looking real close to Johnson County, cells leaving the Strawberry Bluffs, pushing out of Clarksville. Clarksville, I think we're going to be okay when it comes from a hail threat. We're still watching this nasty storm that's going to stay just south of 22 for a little bit, but then get closer to Shoal Creek, New Blaine, and then eventually Delaware. That's going to be headed towards the Lake Dardanelle State Park. Some of the reservoirs there close to the Arkansas River going into Russellville. We'll be watching this hail core coming up next. So if you are in eastern Logan County, you still want to watch this one. It looks like even the newest scan, we've got some larger hail up to about hen egg. You can go to the grocery store, pull out an egg. That's what we're talking about with some of this hail that's pushing eastbound. Waldron, we have some of those cells pushing east too. Here's a closer look in Paris. We're wrapping up in the city with that hail. It's just on 22 east once you pass Greasy Valley and then head towards Subiaco, New Blaine, and Midway. Delaware, Russellville, you guys are next. But Fort Smith and Buren, we're looking a lot better. These are our final storms, and we're wrapping things up this afternoon. Once again, if you have pictures, we're going to go ahead and try to get some of those together, send them in. If you have the 5 News app, if you go into the weather part and you scroll down a little bit there, I believe it's an orange bar. You can submit a photo there, put it in, put your information, put where the photo was taken, so then we can know where all these photos even were. That's really the biggest piece of information that we need, and your name. And then we're watching these storms press east. Then it's Central Arkansas's turn. We've got multiple severe thunderstorm warnings pressing east, but this is the final wave. We're just watching eastern Logan County is really the one to watch there towards New Blaine and Midway. We don't have a tornado threat. We don't. It's mainly just wind and hail that's pressing on east, and we have some good lightning with it too. We appreciate your time and tracking the storms with us. Appreciate my whole team. They've been here as well with us as well, getting all the information to you guys. Make sure you always keep it here, keep it local, and we'll keep you advised.